for the oversight on the holiday today. Um, and we'll do it a little bit different in the future. I would have thought that the clerk's office might have given me a notification to just not hold this meeting today, but I appreciate everybody attending in spite of that. So it's 7:04 and we'll get started. If it's okay with everybody, I was going to start with the DDA and their presentation on their new projects that they have going forward. Um, so I'm not sure who would like to start. Sandra, would you like to start?
I'll let Amber take it from the beginning. But I'm Sandra. I'm from the DDA. I work with Amber. I'm a program specialist.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amber Miller. I oversee capital projects and planning for the city's Downtown Development Authority. Hannah, why don't you introduce yourself as well while I share my screen here?
Hi, I'm Hannah Kirkpatrick. I'm the Art and Public Director at the Ann Arbor Art Center, and we're working with the DDA and helping launch the Elevate program. So helping putting out the calls and communicating with artists and installation needs. So yeah, all the project management things. So anyways, I'll let Amber get back to it.
Great. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for giving us your time tonight. So we are here to talk about a new DDA program called Elevate. We wanted to make sure that you all are aware of this program, and we also wanted to tee up a request to have a Public Arts Commission member serve on each of our selection committees, so we can talk about that a little bit more as we go through the presentation. So tonight we'll give you a little bit of an overview of the program and then talk about the exciting part, which are the planned projects. And we have one coming up through a capital project in 2026, and then some that are planned for 2024 and 2025. Before we jump into the program, just for those of you who are not familiar with the Downtown Development Authority, we are a component unit of the City of Ann Arbor. We focus exclusively on enhancing and building a resilient and thriving downtown, and we do this primarily through infrastructure investments. Most of our funding is tax increment financing. We refer to it as TIF, and you'll hear that a couple of times throughout this presentation. Our aim with this program is to fund public art and placemaking installations that enhance the downtown experience for all people. Our program goals are just as you see on the screen there: history and storytelling, diversity, equity, and inclusion, play, interaction, and creativity, and placemaking. And because we're an infrastructure program that is focused on downtown, our emphasis often is on placemaking in the work that we do, and especially for this program, focusing on designing cities for people, strengthening the connection between people and the places they share, and celebrating and enhancing the unique quality of place that we have downtown. So there are two major components of the Elevate program. One is with our capital project. So our board has directed us that with each capital project moving forward, 1% of the construction budget will be allocated for art and placemaking as part of that project. And then the other component of the Elevate program is an annual budget for installations. And with that annual budget, we have a framework of about 5 categories just to help diversify the installations that you all are seeing downtown and that we're installing downtown. So we're focusing on large-scale permanent installations. Oh, sorry, I see we have a question.
Yeah, I just had a question. Will we be able to access this presentation afterwards?
Absolutely. We can share this presentation with Benita, and then also the details of our program that were approved by our board.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So as part of the annual funding, we have large-scale permanent installations, and some of that funding is coming from TIF, and then we also operate the parking system, so a portion of that is coming from parking as well. We're also wanting to install seasonally temporary rotating interactive art installations. So we're starting to see this in other cities like Grand Rapids and Boston. Often in the wintertime, they're bringing in these really fun interactive kind of light and sound displays to help bring people downtown kind of during the slower season of the year. We'd also like to focus on some small scale installations, and then maintenance is an important component of this as well. We want to be able to maintain what we're installing. And when it comes to procuring art, we'll be following pretty closely with how the city is procuring public art. So most of our public art will be procured through calls for entry. We did want to allow for open submission so that people felt like they could approach us and share their ideas with us. We don't know that we'll have too much funding for that in the early years, as we're really trying to get calls for new art, but that is part of our program. And then there may be times where we have sole sourcing or off-the-shelf products that we are installing as well. And for the projects where we're doing a call for art, for most or all of those, we'd like to have a selection committee. And this is where we were hoping that you all would be willing to volunteer your time for each of those calls, that someone from the Public Art Commission could be a part of our selection committee. Could be the same person for each selection committee, or you could volunteer a different person for each different project. So we're hoping if you have interest that you can communicate that to Benita, and Benita, that you don't mind helping us identify selection committee members. All right, so now to talk to you all about projects. This first one is planned as one of our capital projects, and it's a capital project that is scheduled for 2026. So we still have some time to develop it. This project is focused on 4th Avenue between William and Liberty. And the focus of this project is really on improving the experience for transit riders and also the operations of transit on this street. And we would like to just make this a more welcoming, interesting space for people who are waiting for the bus and spending time on this block. And right now, that visual of the parking structure certainly doesn't do that. So this is just an example, but looking to provide some level of screening on the parking structure as part of our 4th Avenue project. So that one you should hear more about as we develop it further over the next year. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Sandra to talk about the annual installations that we are working on.
Okay, great. You can go to the next slide. So yeah, so we have budgeted. We started our planning last year, which is super awesome. That means that we started our budgeting last year. So by the time we're ready to start rolling these out next year, we'll have by July 3 years of funding. So for our kickoff year, we're going to have a lot of flexibility, and we're hoping to have a big impact to get people excited about the programs and artwork we're bringing in. So this is just an overview of, we'll talk about each one of these large scale projects that we're working on in more detail. So to start, from talking to the neighborhoods throughout the years, we identified with some of the needs in the specific districts areas, and trying to combine the placemaking with those needs. So we'll go through these in detail, but just to run down the list, we're going to be doing a mural in Liberty Plaza, which we're partnering with Ann Arbor Parks with, a sunshade in the farmers market, a wayfinding project from the Ann Ashley parking structure to Carytown. And we're still putting together, or we're going to plan to put together something for Southview that's interactive. Probably start working on that in the winter. And then a scavenger hunt throughout downtown. And again, we're focusing this first year on play and interaction. So Hannah, I'll let you talk about these next few, and then I'll take the end.
Okay, so this is, I think everybody's probably familiar with Liberty Plaza. And the city is looking to create a renewed interest in the plaza through art and event programming. So we are going to be launching a call starting on October 19th, and the call will close. We usually do 6 weeks for a call on December 1st. This is a really fun space, I think, for artists to think about, because there's 3 different levels and varying different height walls. But the mural should focus on the concrete walls and possibly the stairs and railings as other extra elements to think about in the design. But concentrating in the middle section, which you can see on the lower left corner. I'm bad with my left and right, but and then radiating out from there to the upper and lower level. The Parks and Rec will be putting in new plantings as well that will be bright, colorful, and showy. And so this mural is also, we're asking artists to submit designs that are bright, colorful, and non-representational, so pattern-based or geometric, things like that. What else? And the install should be in summer/fall of 2025. Next slide. The next one is the Farmers Market Sunshade. So this is an interesting project where there's a functional need to provide shade for comfortable space at the farmers market above these picnic tables. And there are these existing poles in the space already. So artists are going to be asked to attach to the poles and create a sunshade to span over it, whether that's out of fabric or rigid materials. This call is currently open. It's been open since September 7th. It's going to close on October 20th. It's a national call, but we're also marketing locally to the U of M faculty in Taubman College of Architecture and Urban Planning, Stamps College for Creative Studies in Detroit. So trying to also reach the local network too, because there's a lot of talented people here. And install hopefully for summer when the sun is shining and we want a sunshade on there. So we're aiming for summer 2025. And the work should be, again, something colorful, and fun. And then, here are just some examples of something we may expect to be proposed. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of creative artists bringing in lots of different ideas. Okay. And then the other call that's open right now is a wayfinding call from the parking structure on Miller, the Ann Ashley parking structure, with a focus on using the facade on Miller. So the tower, the window spaces, the openings, and then the wayfinding continuing in the amenity zone towards the farmers market. And so we're marketing the call to, go back one second. We're marketing the call to a bunch of different types of artists, because this could be, 2D based, kind of a mural approach, or it could be sculptural. So lots of different options. And this is not like a text heavy wayfinding system. This is supposed to be visual, fun, and engaging for people traveling from the parking structure to the farmers market. And then these are just some examples of wayfinding. So it could be something attached to poles. It could be kind of a flat sculpture on the street. Maybe there are a series of benches. I'm sure we'll be surprised with what people apply with. And we're also letting artists propose groundwork too as another way of wayfinding. And groundwork could be a mural, but those might have maintenance issues where they have to be repainted sooner than later. It could be a mosaic. It could be, some kind of breadcrumb leading you from the parking garage to the farmer's market. So these are just some other examples out there. And then I think, okay. And then the other project we were working on with the DDA is South U, South University. They're desiring something to encourage more families to visit the neighborhood. And so the approach will be focused on interaction, play, and placemaking. The project is to be determined starting in the winter. And these are just some examples of, something that's durable and fun. It could be a mural. It could be some kind of lights that activate at night. It could be some kind of ground game as well.
I can pick it up. So one of the other big things we're working on for the kickoff, we thought it'd be fun to have David Zinn, who better, everybody knows David Zinn, to do some permanent installations throughout town that are part of a scavenger hunt. Again, focusing on play, interaction, and creativity. We're hoping to start this fall, but it might be in next spring, who knows. But we're really close to getting started. So hopefully this fall, fingers crossed. But yeah, so we'll choose places throughout town. He has a list he provided to us, including like the library, the arcade. We have some of the parking structures, the library. So just guiding families around town in a fun way, or adults. Never say no, David. So super exciting. So for that temporary installation, we're looking to do it in Liberty Plaza this January through March. And that will be 3 years of funding, which we won't eat up with this first year, but we'll get to do something pretty fun and exciting. So again, it'll go in Liberty Plaza during the cold months. So we're hoping it'll be a draw to downtown, January, February, and March. Something fun for the family. So it's called Oscillation, and it's a Quebec-based company called Krios. They've done this, I believe, New York City, and Dublin, and other countries. And it's, from everybody I've talked to, it's been a lot of fun, and people have loved it. They're giant crystals that come alive with movement. There are, I believe, 5 of them that will be throughout the plaza, and it interacts and creates sound, shadows. When you get close to it, the sounds change. I think there's more pictures, yeah. So each module has 3 sensors that'll activate with light and sound components as people approach them and move around them. There's a mirror effect, and they light up at night. So this should be a ton of fun. We're excited about this, and you'll hear more about it come January. Next steps. So again, David Zinn's the closest thing to being installed and getting rolling. We're working on finalizing that contract right now. And then, as Hannah talked about, the Ann Ashley Wayfinding and the Sunshade are both, those calls are out and in progress. So that selection committee I gotta start working on that, but that'll be coming soon in the winter months. Liberty Plaza mural, that call will be going out in October. So again, fall, next summer, fall installation. And then the temporary install will be in January. And that's it. Amber, does anybody have questions? I guess that's a good next step.
I know that Mary Peoples has offered and is very excited about having help during this project. So I can circle back with you and get you her contact information so that you have that.
Yeah, I'd be willing to help as well, to volunteer on the committees. I did have one question. As part of the work that we do, we review all the CIP projects annually, and several of those often include DDA projects. And we recommend adding design work to those projects. This seems to be a completely separate from that and those recommendations. Am I accurate in that, or is there any consideration of the work that we've done around that?
Yeah, so what this does is it bakes in a public art component. So it's essentially saying with all of our capital projects, we plan to have a 1% set aside for public art. And we certainly still welcome you all encouraging us if you think we should be doing more than 1%. And we'll keep you updated on those projects. But as a baseline, what we're saying is we're committing to public art with every project.
But the 1% you're pulling aside, is it going to be related to that specific project or just into a pool that it gets used for public art?
Both. So the two components to the Elevate program, one is tied directly to the capital project. So 1% of that project will be installed as public art as part of that project, unless it simply doesn't make sense for that project. Like, I'm trying to think of an example, our sidewalk repairs. We may instead pool a small amount of sidewalk repair dollars into the larger Elevate program, but for the most part, those large capital projects will have public art component. Then we also have the annual program that's $175,000 a year for public art installations downtown.
Great. I'm super excited to see more public art happening. So I'm really glad you guys are doing this work. Thank you.
Sophie, I see your hand raised. Or Peggy, I'm sorry.
I would be willing to serve on the placemaking program too. And I'm super excited about this program, but also just to see the variety in the art that you're going to be placing around town. So super excited. Very fun.
Thank you, John.
I'm also excited, and I really applaud what you're doing. And it ties into the history of this Public Art Commission. In fact, it started with the DDA in the 1990s when the DDA started taking over the parking structure. They built the 4th and Washington parking structure. They formed a committee for public art. And that committee actually was responsible, and it was that commissioned all the artwork that's on that 4th and Washington. As a result of that, everyone was just applauding the work of this committee. That committee turned into the Commission for Art in Public Places, CAP, and that CAP sort of had big plans, and you might want to go back. They had a wonderful plan for the parking structure that you're thinking about on 4th. And that group evolved into this particular group, which started in 2008 for the Percent for Art program, which was designed to do exactly what you're doing, is try to set aside all capital improvement projects and pool the monies from those that may not necessarily, like sidewalks, have public art, but there is public art, particularly in Seattle, on sidewalks. So, you know, there are stamps and all kinds of other things that you can use for public art. So I really applaud what you're doing. You're bringing it back. The Percent for Art program was ended in 2013. It's unfortunate, but you have brought it back to life. I am tickled to see that. The current and temporary head of services, that's Vanita's boss, started the public art program, the Percent for Art. So she's very familiar with was happening, nationwide. And maybe if you could make some sense of something that this art commission was unable to do, that the city might see a way of bringing back that Percent for Art, because the structure of it is all in place. But I also applaud you using David Zinn. He is a genius. He's a treasure for Ann Arbor, and he travels all over the world. We should see more of David's work here, and I applaud what you're doing. I can't think of anybody better to serve on some of these committees than Mary Thiefels. I mean, she's doing this day and night, and she's very familiar with what can be done and very familiar with the history I'm talking about. So all of this is to say kudos to what you're doing, and I think it's absolutely terrific. And I just see this old idea that I thought was absolutely spectacular, and it was unfortunate that it fell prey to the Tea Party movement and a whole other set of circumstances outside of our control, this culture war. But you've brought it back to life and focused it into the DDA. I also want to let you know that I'm on the Historical Foundation. I'm part of the street exhibit program and a good friend of Ray Detter, who's passed away recently. Ray started the street exhibit program, and those began as works of public art. It was a way to look through the past to see the present. And there were little footpads. If you stand just right, you can see this projection of this historic photograph on the present. All of those are accepted as public art for a couple of reasons. One, that the public art ordinance, there was some question of not who owns it. The city owns it, but who maintains it. So Craig Hoopy, I think, and Vanita will know the date, 5, 6, 7 years ago, changed the public art ordinance so that every work of public art in the city is maintained and repaired by the department where it's located. So that's a part of the ordinance, and that will help you in terms of being able to maintain this. There's no necessarily money to create the artwork, but you're doing that through what we tried to do with the Percent for Art and failed. You're doing it exactly the way we had planned to do it. Set aside 1% of the capital improvement projects. So for the maintenance, there's already a built-in ordinance that identifies all of your public art, who maintains it and who's responsible for it. And you might want to familiarize yourself with that so that as moving forward, you'll know exactly how to allocate money. It's the city's responsible, whatever department is in there. And these 21 glass panels, along with all the other street exhibits, which amounts to well over $1 million. And the other part is it's insured. So the city self-insures, but it has a rider on its insurance policy specifically for public art, as long as it is identified in a public art inventory that's kept by Vanita. So you should include these pieces of public art as a part of that inventory to make sure that it's on that insurance rider, and also to make sure that it's maintained by the appropriate department. And there's a new historic marker for the Jones School. I don't know whether you're familiar with it or not, but that's in the process of being built. And I know that I'm supposed to be meeting with Chris Frost to go over how this thing, who owns it, who maintains it. The Historical Foundation is paying or helping to pay for building it, but they can't possibly maintain it. And, it's, as your program sort of evolves, you're going to come up against maintaining these projects. Some of them are going to be very expensive. the light structure in the courthouse, is very difficult because it is electricity and lights. So the same thing with the dry-sidle piece that's in front of City Hall, that it involves a bunch of pumps and stuff like that. Something is very simple, like a piece of sculpture, but other art may involve more maintenance, which should be a part of your selection process, the cost of maintaining all of these. So sorry to go on, but I wanted to interject that congratulations for what you're doing. I applaud what you're doing. I've stayed on this commission hoping that this whole idea would come alive again, and you've made my day, my week, my month. So thank you very much, and I'll help in whatever way I can, but I think Mary Thiefels would really be an ideal person. You've already had people that have volunteered, so go get them.
Thank you, John. Hi, Sophie.
Oh, hi. Yeah, thanks for all that information, John. I was just going to say it's great that we have 3 different projects and 3 different volunteers already to be on those commissions. What were they? Committees. So I think that's going to work out great, and we'll have different angles and different views on it, which would be really nice to add to the amazing diversity of different programs that you're putting forward. And I just wanted to say how much I hope that one day we'll be able to extend this kind of thing beyond the downtown and have it spreading to different parts of the town as well, but parts of the city, because it would be wonderful, I think, to have something larger and more permanent in some other parts of Ann Arbor as well, which, would really benefit from that. So occasionally we get things coming up from different groups, but something more programmatic, I think, would be really wonderful.
Well, Amber, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So are these projects already part of the current CIP? You all have your information, the CIP too, as well, right? So these are CIP projects.
So, yeah, the 4th Avenue, which is the capital project that I talked about at the start of kind of the project portion of the presentation, that is already in the CIP, and it is already called out as including public art. And then we are actually putting the Elevate program itself into the capital improvement plan, because we're seeing it as an investment in infrastructure. So that program, that $175,000 a year, is also in the CIP.
Okay. When we look at some of the, like John was talking about, some of the maintenance, if I'm not misunderstanding, some of the DDA crisscrosses with city, right? Are there areas where we are doing this already, where the city is maintaining some things within the DDA, or will that need to be addressed a little differently?
Well, so with the Elevate program, we're setting aside, I'd have to go back and look at the specific numbers, but it's at least $5,000 a year for maintenance. And we plan to just set that aside and let our maintenance dollars accrue until one of these installations needs maintenance. So we plan to maintain what we're installing through this program.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Nice projects.
Thank
Excited
you.
to see them happening. They seem to look to be really, really neat things that are very vibrant within the city too. So that's going to be good for folks to be real hands. Thanks for sharing this. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you all so much for letting us attend tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome.
I just wanted to say one thing before you sign off. I think this is a fantastic project, and I think something that the Art Commission has talked about as well is supporting other types of art, performing arts, and I think with these types of projects, Did I get muted?
Yeah.
Am I unmuted?
No, you're
Good.
good. Yeah.
Okay. That the unveiling of these projects and context in terms of, you know, public art in Ann Arbor could potentially, the unveiling of these projects could include performing arts in the community. That's all.
So yeah, that'd be awesome. I love that idea.
Sophie, did you have something else?
Yeah, I just had one more quick word I'd like to add, which is the projects were all described as being very colourful. And, you know, I love colourful projects, but I'd just like to put in a word for more monochrome stuff just for the balance, so that it wouldn't have to be that everything was colourful, that, you know, the artist could suggest whether they want, what kind of colour scheme they do want to put in that place, and you could take that into account in the judging the value of that project.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Mhm. Okay, well, again, thank you all for giving us your time tonight. We look forward to bringing you updates and having you on our steering committees.
Great.
Have a
Thank
nice
you.
evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks so much.
Vanita,
Yes.
uh, do we need to officially have a roll call and all of that and make sure we have a
Sure.
quorum?
Yes. Should start all over. So are you ready? I did open the meeting, but I will do a roll call right now if that's okay for everybody.
Shouldn't our chair do that?
I'm so sorry. It was like last time I was probably busy with another meeting. So by Wednesday, time
That's okay,
conflicts.
Zhang.
I'm so sorry.
I
I should
did it last
catch
time, so
up
maybe
with so many things. Yeah.
I just probably was eager to continue. So sorry about that.
Yeah. No, you are doing perfect job to liaison all these conversations about the CAP, all these public, installations coming up. I'm so excited. Like Sophie is talking about, like we have the talents. David Zing, we have Mary Seafolds, we have all these local artists, and all these volunteers on our commission who could contribute all your time and effort into making all these projects coming into fruit in the next 2 years. I've already seen a big, vibrant downtown arena, colorful already, lots of murals. Maybe some of them was done by the Tree Town. I didn't know that in particular. But yeah, let's go back to our roll call. So,
Yeah.
and
Hey, Vanita, Jamal is waiting to get let in.
oh yeah, I was wondering. Yeah, where is Jamal? Yeah, he's.
Oh, you're in, Jamal. Okay.
Yeah, now he is.
Thank you.
Okay, let's call the meeting to the order. First, let's do the roll call. And can we do one by one, or should I call your name?
Vanita usually calls it, I think.
Yeah.
I can, sure. So I have Allison Neal.
Present in Ann Arbor.
I have Peggy Leonard. I can't hear you. Are you on?
Now I'm on. Present from Ann Arbor.
Thank you. Sophie Grenier.
Muted.
You're muted, Sophie.
Present in West Yarmouth, Massachusetts.
Oh, thanks. Marionetta Porter.
Present Ann Arbor.
Jamal Bufford.
President Ypsilanti Township.
Sorry about that, Jamal.
No problem.
John Kotarski.
President Ann Arbor.
Sarah Fuller.
Present in Chelsea.
Fang Zhang.
Present in Pittsfield Township, Ann Arbor, Michigan. Yes.
And we know that Mary is absent, and we have Councilmember Cynthia Harrison.
Present in Ann Arbor.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
So now the approval of the agenda, is that it, Fawn?
Yeah.
I move that
Yeah.
we approve that the agenda be approved as presented.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, a motion?
I just made a motion. I
Yeah.
moved that, and Sarah seconded, I think.
Sarah seconded, yes.
So then all in favor? See. So now we have the agenda.
Yeah.
I can go down the agenda if you like. Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
could you please share the screen maybe with the agenda?
It won't let me.
Well, I received one from Vanita. I think we all received an email.
Yeah, in the email, yes, I opened that.
But Vanita, if you can, I think after the agenda approval is the special presentation by the DDA, which has already been done, and then the approval of minutes that you have also shared.
Yeah. I don't have minutes, but what I do have are old minutes from our last meeting. But I do have old business next on the agenda. If you'd like, I can move that along and discuss that a little bit if you like.
Yes.
That'd
Okay.
be great.
All right. So the flag project is moving forward. We do have a organization that is printing all of our materials. And what we need to do next is we have an ordinance that's going to city council. I believe it's going on, I think it's sometime October the 2nd or the 7th. It will be on the council agenda. And this will be coming from the city clerk's office for budget and fiscal impact that will be shared with the public. And we've got a Legistar file that's attached that should arrive in the queue for the council members to approve. And this is just the last project of closing the flag project down. Invoices have been sent to for payment. We're paying for the funding for the through the Bicentennial Fund. And I did share at one point all of the items that we're ordering. So we're ordering parade flags. We're doing stickers. We're also ordering 9 large flags and a new flag as well for city council chambers. Folks seem to be really excited about it. I'm very excited too. We're working with a local printer who's done a really good job at providing us with wonderful funding. And we hope to see in a couple of, maybe 3 or 4 weeks, some items actually displayed. Sophie?
Oh, that's just what I was going to ask, whether there will be flags flying before the end of the year, and if we know when. But you're saying in a couple of weeks?
I think, but I'm saying by the end of the month.
By the end of the month.
We do have
flying outside council buildings, or
yes,
where?
we're putting up new flags at all of our facilities.
Okay, great.
And what I don't know is, I think that I can't remember the total cost, but the flags that we have are we do have larger ones that will be ready for folks to purchase. What the cost for those is, I don't know that the city clerk has yet determined what the cost will be for the public to actually purchase one, say for their home or some other property that they may own.
Are the public schools likely to be flying a flag, do we know, or would they get a budget or be given them, or how would it work if they wanted to?
I don't know about that. I can ask that question. I don't know if the public schools currently fly the city flag. Okay, Marionetta, sorry.
Oh, I was just thinking as you think about expanding maybe the merchandise, have you guys talked about maybe sweatshirts or tote bags, things that people might carry with them, become kind of human display boards in a sense? I love the logo, and I think if it was a sweatshirt, I'd buy it in a minute.
Okay, I can check with our city clerk on that. I did get some definite items from her, but I can certainly ask those things as well, especially as they're just now, the printer's just now getting started. So it might be a good idea if we need to add tote bags. That would be good. Thank you for that. And so what I have next again is the city flag that's talking about the stickers. We had the
I
presentation.
think we have a hand up.
Oh, hi there, Sarah. Sorry.
Oh, no, totally fine. I just had a question about, so how are these items sold? Is it online, I'm assuming? Is that part of the city's website to kind of have a e-commerce section?
I'd have to check with the city clerk. This is really her project. It's the city clerk's project. I'm just was an advocate for it and participated. So I can certainly, any other questions that you guys have. But I do know that everything will go to the clerk's office for purchase. I would assume also that they will probably do the same thing down in the customer service area. But my last information was that everything's going to go through the clerk's office.
Okay, fantastic. And if there's any questions about e-commerce or that type of retail, I think Marionetta brought up a good point about merch. Everyone loves merch, and this is an exciting year and a great way to show off how much we love our city and this new design. So that is my area of expertise. If there are any questions or anything like that, please feel free to include me in those questions.
I also know they were already doing bicentennial merch. There were shirts and things available at the big launch thing. And Underground Printing was responsible for those. So I think he was doing them printed on a as ordered basis, so you don't waste a bunch of money printing a bunch of them. So that might be something that would be just, you know, streamlined through what's already in place.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you. Peggy?
John, you can go first. You had your hand up. Go.
Real quick, all I'm saying is that you might recommend that the clerk contact Chicago, the city of Chicago. They are using the city flag in a number of ways. In fact, the mayor, when he first brought this forward to the Art Commission several years ago, mentioned the fact that because Chicago is doing it so effectively. So, I mean, businesses are using it. It's on the dump trucks and the garbage trucks. It's everywhere. So if they just, touch base with Chicago, see how Chicago's doing it, and see what makes sense for Ann Arbor. Go ahead, Peggy. Sorry.
Well, I also was just wondering in terms of marketing and getting the design out there. We have a big election coming up in November. I wondered if maybe there would be some stickers that could be passed out at the elections of the new city flag design. We used to do the I vote ones, but thought it might be fun to have the city design too. Just throwing it out.
We do have city flag stickers.
Good, perfect. That you maybe we'll pass out at the election sites. Oh, great.
We have we'll have a second election site if everybody's aware that we're working on a newer election site off of Miller Road at Miller, and is that 94 or 23? So most of our election process now will move to that new location. Start date that they're opening it. I think they're doing some changing in there now and making some different areas more usable for the public. So if you haven't heard that, keep an eye out for that. We may have a whole new election center that residents will now have to go to.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So my next one was just circling back with Chris Wall. He did the art process, and he was looking for somebody to provide some assistance for the roundabout project that he talked about at our last meeting. I was going to put him in touch with Mary, and I think that Mary had volunteered. I just reached back out to folks to see if anybody's interested in helping him walk through some things regarding the Nixon Road project and some of the things that he'd like to do there and just get some support. I believe this is his first time. Hi there, Sophie.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of help he needs, but I might be able to help. I don't know. I'm not sure what he's looking for.
Good. All right. I appreciate that. I think he's just trying to understand our internal process. I've given him the public art design process as an outline of how he should get started with everything. But I figured if he had some additional questions, he could actually talk with one of you guys. So I appreciate that. And for new business, I had the IT beginning to work on adding a new art tour for the historical markers. It sounds like we have an art tour on our website now. This will be a second website for the historical markers only. And we're going to try to work within a time frame of over the next 2 months. We'll have to do a little bit of redesigning because the current program will not allow us to just install the others, and the process will have to be different for the markers. John, did you have a question?
A suggestion that
Yes.
When you're doing this public art tour with these historic markers, you might suggest that the person get a hold of Chris Crockett. She is the chair of the Historical Foundation, and they're instrumental in getting all of these markers together, and we're part of doing the tours and stuff like that. So they have a lot of material available for IT.
That'd be great. We were having some trouble with that. Our intern Jesse was going to go out and take photos. So if they have,
there's a complete description at the public library on their website, so you can pull down photographs, and so suggest that they educate themselves at that public Ann Arbor, the Ann Arbor Public Library site for, and they have kind of a walking tour. So I'm sure you could use a lot of material there. And Chris Crockett, I mean, really connect with her. She's very active in this, and I can send you contact information for her.
I have her. Yep, I have her information. Yep. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. And I don't know that I have anything else from myself. I would ask if anybody has anything from your committees, any updates to share, business owners, development work group.
Let me just go first and say there hasn't been a meeting of the Design Review Board, and there's some question of whether it will continue, but there is a scheduled meeting, I think, in a week or so. But if I could come back to that historic markers, there's this a Jones School marker. I don't know if you're familiar, Vanita, but and I don't know what Chris Frost needs to know, but I've been asked, because I'm on the Historical Foundation as well, to bring him up to speed what I know about public art and about these markers being public art and being on the public art inventory. And that's what I'm going to present to him, that as a result, I don't know whether this body needs to accept that Jones marker as a donation of public art from the committee or Historical Foundation, whatever, but I assume that would make it, obviously, public art, and we've accepted it as public art. But if you could help me before I meet with Chris Frost, I can help him. So,
Okay.
no, thank you.
You're welcome. So can I try you maybe over the next couple of days?
Oh, yeah, just
Okay.
just email
I'll
me
check the
or
schedule, John.
call or whatever. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome. Thank you. How about the capital improvement project? Any updates?
No updates.
No update. Work group outreach.
I think that's me. Y'all might have already talked about it at the last meeting that I missed, but there is an Instagram page.
Yeah. All right. Yes.
I just created a Gmail to create the Instagram. Benita, I don't know if there's an email we should be using, but we do have a Gmail account now if needed.
Yeah, you're perfectly fine. IT said it was perfect and ready to go, so it was perfectly fine. Appreciate you doing that.
No problem. So,
And
yeah,
are you yourself in charge of that, or you kind?
I mean, I'm cool with taking responsibility if there's things that need to be posted, but everybody has access
Okay.
to it.
Okay, right. Okay. Next we have
Just remind us, Jamal, what the name of it is. The page, so we can at it or whatever.
It is AA.PAC. So the at symbol AA.PAC.
At gmail.com. Right, gmail.com.
Oh, sorry. That was the Instagram.
Okay.
Let me get you. I'll find it and get back to y'all. I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Thank you. Communication and outreach. How about fundraising work group? Anything new? Okay. Special projects work group. Okay. Nominations and leadership.
I'm not sure. I at one time was involved in that. And I think someone else, I welcome them to take it over. That what I had done is send out a survey from everyone, whether you're interested in leadership, if you can if you have any suggestions for leadership. And that survey then was reviewed by myself, and I think Allison was part of that committee as well. And we then recommended leadership slate, and then you voted on that. That survey we need to take a vote in January. You need to have the leadership in place in January. We take a vote in December, meaning that we need to put the survey out soon. I don't want to do it. Really, I don't. So, I welcome anyone else to do it. I will send you the template to do it. And but
Will you send that to me when you have a chance over the next?
Yeah, and you could send it out and
I could send.
task it to somebody to review and yeah, I'll do that. So
Okay.
it needs to happen, I guess, in the next month or so that
Okay.
we can have an election in December. Then the term will begin in January, and you can only serve for 3 years, and then you have to take a break.
Hi, Allison.
So I was just going to point out that the fiscal year, I think, for the city ended in July. And so we have 2 reports due every year. There's the planning document, which should have stemmed from, I believe, our January meeting and our discussion that we just got minutes for. And then there is a summary report that talks about what we've been doing for the last fiscal year. And it's always due, I think it's like a couple months after the end of the fiscal year. So just FYI, the fiscal year for the city ends in July, so we're due for another report. I think we're getting kind of behind, so just want to put that on your guys' radar.
So would you like me to look at the committees? Is anybody interested in changing the committees that they're currently on? And would it be helpful if I sent out all of the committees and the responsibilities and what might be reported in those committees and put the dates in those so that we have a running tally of due dates for folks? Would that help?
We do have so I created a document that has the committees and the current members. Now we shuffled them a little bit, and they are the correct after the shuffle. People are there, so I can just I can share that with you again, Benita, and you can just put it in there.
Okay, that'd be fine. Thank you. Yep.
I might add that this is an opportunity for the Public Art Commission to present to the City Council what we're proud of, what we're doing. So it shouldn't be just a list of stuff. I mean, it should be a reason that we continue. I mean, so Frank, I think it should be thought of in that way, as a narrative that makes sense. Somebody reads this and says, "Oh my God, this art commission is really exciting," so
I attached the annual meeting to this invitation that we had earlier this year.
The minutes were attached to this.
For that, yeah. So that was the annual planning meeting. Yep. Councilmember Harrison.
I was going to make sure to wait until you're talking about the committees. I just had a question for you. Let me know when you're ready for me.
Anybody else have anything else?
I have a question. I know when Allison is reminding us there was this annual report is due way before, maybe by the end of July at latest. But because the year before I probably didn't come to all the meetings. I was missing quite a lot of updates on what has been the project, which I realized, and how many projects we're looking forward to. So it's like annual planning and annual report. There was like 2 reports, and Allison has graciously shared with me. But I feel like I wasn't able to capture all that achievements, like John is saying we should be proud of. But in that sense, I need a huge amount of support. I know Jamal might be able, but we probably still need Allison. Allison, are you still available for? I mean, you could update me what to be.
Yeah, I'm here to support you guys. I traditionally, when I put together a report, I don't have a brain that remembers any of that kind of stuff. So I just pull the minutes, which are all available on
all
the
minutes.
website.
You mean all the minutes?
You can go to each meeting and pull the minutes. And so I look at the time frame that it's supposed to cover and go to each of those meetings and pull the minutes from those meetings. And so then that kind of refreshes my memory of like, oh yeah, we were talking about this and this was what was happening, blah, blah, blah. And so then I'll make sure I cover all those things throughout the report that way.
Yeah, but the thing is, going
back.
I
can help you with that as well if you need some additional support. I can go back and pull some things, and maybe we can take some time on a meeting and go through and just give you the layout and the update on certain ones if we get the time frame right. So I'd be glad to help you with that. I can send them to you initially, and then we can maybe walk through some of the highlights of those minutes.
Yeah, that would be very helpful. And then we can, come back to the commission meeting, see whether we have covered all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And use photos after and
use
photos, Make it
Yeah,
look,
they already have last year's reports and the years before, which all over, I believe, and I think you were
I had
a
it,
part
but it
of,
just
they're laid out well with pictures and things. And
everything was there. It just what to be covered.
yep, that's
You
where
know,
you're going to
some
look at those minutes and kind of review what we went through and what we did and insert the updated content. Also, when you're done with it, we bring it to a meeting that we all review it and give you feedback and approve it before it goes to council. So that's why it also takes a little bit more time before it's going to go to council, which is why, it's like a 3-month process before it's going to get there. So people here will say, oh, we forgot to talk about this or that. And we can add details there too as well. So it's kind of like a group project, but you just get to spearhead it.
we need to hurry. This is due, I think, in September. End of September is happening. So all of the other commissions are sending stuff to council. Council is reviewing all of these different citizen advisory things. So we need to, not delay it too much.
But I feel like I was overstressed with many things upcoming. And during the summer, I was overloaded.
It's okay.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry.
Don't worry about it. I can provide you a couple of hands here, and we can walk through it. I can even do something initially and put it together and go through them, and that way send you all something out, and you can take a look at it and see if that's where we want to go.
You can circulate a draft, Vanita, so we can all kind of.
Yes, I can do that.
Yeah, because upcoming, I can't see any of my free time. Like,
don't worry. We'll get it together. So I'll circle back with you too, Jamal, on the committees and that most recent report. My other question is this: if some of this information, I'll have to check, but I'd like to know if some of our reporting mechanisms we actually can have added to our webpage, and I can ask the city clerk about doing that and double check with my new administrator to see if that way it will allow us to have items directly on our webpage. I know we send them back in minutes and things like that. I don't know that everybody keeps the minutes and puts them together or makes their own folder, or maybe we look at making a folder for everything for public services that's a shared folder, rather than having to go through all of the minutes at various times throughout the year. So I ask you to think about it and let me know how I can be most helpful to everybody, okay? And I think that's the last reporting from the committees that we have right now. Does anybody have anything additional that they want to talk about?
I'm just going to email everybody right now.
Okay.
The Gmail, the Instagram, and the document with all the working groups in it.
Okay. Thank you, Jamal. How about Councilmember Harrison? You ready?
Oh, yeah. I just really, it's nothing big. I just wanted to check with you, Vanita, and know if you have heard any more updates about our gift from U of M, the artwork and the placement of that.
My last conversation with our facilities team was they're ready to go. So I don't think, don't need any additional approvals or anything like that. It just needs to go up. And then from there, we talked about this, Jonathan asked me about this yesterday or day before. If you had a timeline that you wanted to do the open house, that he could provide some support on that.
I just wanted to, I guess shortly after we have the artwork placed.
Yep.
I mean, probably if we, coordinate maybe a meeting, I don't really, before the end of the year would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing it in-house, so it should be, and I've talked to Matt Kohanic and his team. They seem to have
Is that me? You froze.
So
I'm sorry, you froze. I don't know if that was my internet's a little bit unstable. Let me turn my. Can you repeat that again? I apologize. You.
No worries. No worries. Matt Kohanic. So it's an internal project. Our facilities team has most of the materials to install these. The only thing that I believe they were kind of going back and forth about was whether or not we would put plexiglass over them, to like encase them so that the public doesn't have that much contact with them. Jonathan seemed to say that he was open about the dates and things like that. So I just was thinking that we just move ahead and install them in the lobby, right off the main corridor there. And I know we have funding to do that. So Matt Kohanic is back in the office on Thursday, and I will be happy to nudge him again and say, let's get started.
Okay, that sounds great. I'd like plexiglass if it doesn't create a glare.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. You may be asking
Be a
about
display
that.
case. It'd be a display case.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that was all I had. I just wondered where we were with that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know I'm glad you're back, and I know you've had a
Please.
long.
There's a lot going on. There's so much.
Yeah.
I figured I'd ask you, during this meeting. So
Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
thanks.
Okay, so we are now at 8:15. Can I adjourn the Public Art Commission for October the 2nd at 8:15?
Yes, but I want to invite you all to come to Artoberfest. HU Artoberfest is next weekend near the Carytown area. We have a little art fair with music and stuff going on. So come on out, guys. But then we can adjourn.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Vanita.
You're very, very welcome. Everybody have a good evening. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.